Hey everybody, Sean here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the Winter Solstice update for Dead by Daylight, going for the Holiday Get-Together achievement. This one's going to be done from the killer side. It is to have 3 survivors hooked in a basement at the same time. For killer recommendations, I am going to personally recommend the Trapper for this one. What you want to do is you want to make sure you wait until a map that has a killer shack and a basement under said killer shack comes up in the rotation. Once you get a map to your liking, make sure as the trapper you go up to said killer shack, and what you want to do is you want to make sure you set up traps around the entrances of said shack. So make sure you prioritize the 2 doorways first. So just make sure you pop one on one door, go and find another trap, and then make sure you set up a trap on the other door. And then what you want to do, if you have time, is also trap the window. So prioritize the 2 doors first and then get the window last if you still have time. So what's going to happen eventually is you are going to want one of the survivors to step in one of your traps. You should get a little alert that they've done so, and then you can quickly go over and then down them as they are in the trap. So a few things that can help. It really helps if there is a generator in the killer shack. That way the shack becomes an objective. You can also try to chase a survivor through the shack. Shacks are going to be places that survivors will tend to loop you, or sometimes they'll just go through it on their own. Nonetheless, they should set off one of your traps, and then once you get the alert, just make sure you head over and then quickly down them. Because the basement is going to be directly underneath the shack, what you can do is you can pick them up and then pop them on a hook in the basement right away, and then more likely than not, their altruistic teammates are going to try to come in for the rescue. You can take this time in between to reset the traps, and that way, once they step foot into the shack, they are going to get trapped, and then you can punish by downing them and then taking them into the basement. Hopefully you can have at least 2 other survivors take the bait and then come in here to try to rescue their teammate. That way you can get all 3 people in the basement at once. You are going to have to be a little proactive on this one. Make sure you reset your traps as frequently as possible. Remember, the Trapper's big weakness is he can set off his own traps, so make sure you be very careful not to accidentally step on them, as they will stun you for a bit. Also, try to get rid of the pallet on that side of the killer shack as soon as possible, because what can happen is the survivors can drop the pallet, allowing them to vault over the trap that you pop down on that entrance. Do keep in mind you are going to have to be a little quick on this, as you don't want any of the hooked survivors to be eliminated from the game. So try your best to get all 3 people in as quickly as possible, because as soon as you get someone who is going to be eliminated from the game, that is going to be one less opportunity to get all 3 people in here. So just make sure you hunker down, and then make sure you actively patrol all 3 of the entrances, and then make sure you take advantage of any survivors who try to set up the traps, or if they're trying to disarm them, make sure you punish them. You definitely don't want to go outside of the shack if it's not necessary to, because someone will give you the slip, and you definitely don't want someone sneaking past you and basically trying to free the other 2 survivors. So just make sure you play on the defensive side, but keep in mind you are limited to the time that the survivors have on the hook. So be very careful with that. Unfortunately, you just can't down the survivors when they're within the confines of the shack, because a crawling survivor can crawl past a live trap without any problem, so they can escape the shack that way. Now, if you do have one person sneak in, remember to pressure them down the staircase, and that way, once they get past the staircase line, what you can do is, as they are trying to rescue the other survivors, you can put pressure on the staircase. Because it's the only way in and the only way out, what you can do is you can funnel people, and then you can down them as they are trying to head up the staircase, and that way you should get all 3 of them downed, and if they are past the staircase line, you should have more than enough time to bring them to the hook one at a time. So once you get at least 3 people on the hook, that should take care of the achievement. Hopefully you are able to do this before anyone gets eliminated, or if they manage to free everyone. Once you do manage to pull off the 3 simultaneous basement hooks, you should be good for the achievement. There it is. It's going to be for 20 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.